In a moment, we will begin the listening comprehension section of the test. Break the seal and open your test book to the first page. Read the directions for Section 1 in your test book as you listen to the directions on this recording. Do not read ahead or turn the pages until you are told to do so. Section 1, Listening Comprehension. In this section of the test, you will have an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to understand conversations and talks in English. There are 3 parts to this section with special directions for each part. Answer all the questions on the basis of what is stated or implied by the speakers in this test. Do not turn the pages until you are told to do so. Part A. Directions. In Part A, you will hear short conversations between 2 people. After each conversation, you will hear a question about the conversation. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear,
"I don't like this painting very much."
Neither do I.
"What does the man mean?" In your test book, you read, A. He does not like the painting either. B. He does not know how to paint. C. He does not have any paintings. D. He does not know what to do. You learn from the conversation that neither the man nor the woman likes the painting. The best answer to the question, "What does the man mean?" is A. He does not like the painting either. Therefore, the correct choice is A. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part A with the first conversation. Number 1.
So, Julie, how was the field trip your class took to the State Museum?
Don't ask me. I was in bed all last week with the flu.
What does the woman mean? Number 2.
The next time you place an order with the office supply store, we need business envelopes and paper clips. Oh, and some notepads, pencils, paper for the printer.
Hold on. Let me get this all down so I don't forget anything.
What will the man probably do next? Number 3.
Hey, there's a review in this magazine of Professor Goodman's new book. Says it's one of the best novels of the year.
Really? I thought it was so boring. Let me take a look at that.
What will the woman probably do next? Number 4.
We should get going if we want to make it to class on time.
Just let me print this document for the presentation I'm giving today.
What does the woman mean? Number 5.
John, have you finished your assignment for history class yet? It's due this Thursday, you know.
I had a couple of other things due that same day, so I asked Professor Smith for an extension. She said I could hand it in next week, so I'm concentrating on the other stuff first.
What does the man say about his history assignment? Number 6.
Would you like to come to my party this evening? Everyone will be there.
I'd love to, but I work at the library on Friday nights, and it'll be too late after my shift is over.
What can be inferred from the conversation? Number 7.
My roommate and I both felt awful over the weekend. We had the same symptoms too, a headache and a stomachache.
I wasn't feeling good either. I think there's something going around.
What does the woman mean? Number 8.
I have a free ticket to tonight's jazz concert. I can't go because I have a project due tomorrow. I thought you might be interested.
Let me make a quick call to my parents. I was supposed to have dinner with them tonight, but I'm sure I can reschedule.
What will the woman probably do tonight? Number 9.
I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed lately. Labs, papers, exams. It's hard to keep track of it all.
Buy a good calendar or planner, something you can carry around with you. That's how I keep important dates and deadlines straight.
What does the woman imply the man should do? Number 10.
Did you talk with Professor Wilkins about your psychology paper? What did she say about the topic?
Nothing but good things. It looks like I didn't have to worry after all.
What can be inferred about the professor? Number 11.
So, are you planning on getting a job over the summer break?
I'm trying to, in something related to journalism. I don't have anything definite yet, but I'm not giving up.
What does the man imply? Number 12.
You've lived in this area longer than I have. Where's a good trail to go for a short, easy nature hike?
Oh, my favorite place is perfect for that, but it's in Mountville. Do you have a car?
What does the woman imply? Number 13.
Is lunch going to be served at the student orientation? Do you know?
Uh-huh. It says it on the back of the program.
What does the man mean? Number 14.
I'm sorry, but this lot's for university employees only. You were ticketed because you didn't have an employee permit.
But, officer, I just had to drop off something at the bursar's office, and the student lot's like a mile away.
What can be inferred about the woman? Number 15.
I just got on the waiting list for a lab assistant position in the botany department.
Oh, my roommate does that. She likes it, but she also said it was over 2 semesters between when she got on the waiting list and when they finally called.
What does the woman imply? Go on to the next page. Number 16.
Can you believe how much we have to read for tomorrow?
Yeah, I thought this class was going to be easy.
What does the woman imply? Number 17.
I can't believe I can't get a plane ticket for the December holidays. I mean, it's only October.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it too much. People cancel their reservations all the time.
What does the woman imply the man should do? Number 18.
Excuse me, is this your jacket? It was on the chair where you were sitting in the classroom today.
Oh, thanks. I completely forgot that I wore it this morning.
What can be inferred about the woman? Number 19.
The coffee in this restaurant has really improved. They must have changed suppliers.
Really? You can taste a difference?
What does the man mean? Number 20.
I don't know what I was thinking when I signed up to work the breakfast shift at the cafeteria. Mornings just aren't my thing.
Maybe you could talk to Joni. She works dinners, and she's not happy because she's barely making it to her evening class on time.
What does the woman imply the man should do? Number 21.
As long as it's work-related, you don't have to ask permission to use a company car.
Okay, because mine's in the repair shop, and the boss wants me to make a run to the bank now.
What will the woman probably do next? Number 22.
I missed the deadline for online class registration. That means I have to go over to the registrar's office tomorrow and fill out all those forms in person.
If I were you, I'd get there early, as soon as it opens, unless you're ready to spend all day waiting in line.
What does the woman imply? Number 23.
Of all things, how could I have forgotten the test is today? Did you remember to study?
Well, actually, I always write down all the important dates as soon as I get the syllabus.
What can be inferred about the woman? Number 24.
I heard that you're planning to help your uncle in his business over the summer. What does he do?
He has an architecture firm, and he needs more people to do technical drawings.
What can be inferred about the woman? Number 25.
If I can keep up the pace, I'll graduate in just 3 years.
That might be true, but I'd never want to give up my summer breaks.
What does the man imply? Number 26.
What's going on with the science building? All the entrances are locked.
I guess you haven't heard. A pipe burst this morning, and the basement's completely flooded. The building will be closed all week while a crew works on it.
What does the woman say about the science building? Number 27.
I spent all day yesterday working in my garden.
In that heat? I thought you looked like you'd had a rough day.
What can be inferred from the conversation? Number 28.
I was wondering if you could get the handouts for me in our biology class tomorrow since I won't be around.
I was thinking of asking you to get the handouts for me.
What does the man imply? Number 29.
Wow, this is a really fancy pen. I love how smoothly it writes. Where'd you get it?
My mom gave it to me as part of a graduation present. But I think you can get them down at that office supply store in the mall.
What does the woman assume? Number 30.
Where's Amy been these days? You two are usually inseparable.
I know, but we've sort of grown apart ever since she started her new job. I barely see her now.
What does the woman mean? This is the end of Part A. Go on to the next page. Now read along as the directions for Part B directions. Are being read. In this part of the test, you will hear longer conversations. After each conversation, you will hear several questions. The conversations and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part B with the first conversation. Questions 31 through 34. Listen to a conversation between 2 students.
So, are you done with all your courses yet?
Almost. I'll be done next Friday.
And what about after that? Are you going to be sticking around for the summer?
Yeah, I was thinking about trying to get a job somewhere on campus. I went to the University Employment Service, and it looks like I can get a job as a math tutor. You know, for students taking summer courses.
Sounds like a good idea. I didn't even know there was any employment service on campus.
How about you? Are you going to be working too?
Yeah, I've already got a job lined up. Same thing I did last summer.
Oh, what's that?
You know Hillside Park? Well, last summer they needed someone to help out on the grounds crew. You know, mowing the lawn, trimming the hedges, that kind of thing.
So, what's the pay like?
A lot more than I thought, since you have to use all this special equipment. That makes the job harder. More specialized, so they pay extra. But besides the money, what I liked best was being out in the fresh air, because, you know, when I'm busy with classes, I don't get the chance to be outside very much.
That sounds really neat. Do you think they could use another worker?
But what about your tutoring job?
Well, maybe I could do both. I think the scheduling for the tutoring job is pretty flexible.
Number 31. What are the speakers mainly discussing? Number 32. How did the woman find out about the tutoring job? Number 33. What does the man say about working in Hillside Park? Number 34. What does the woman imply she might do during the summer? Questions 35 through 38. Listen to part of a conversation between a student and her professor.
Hi, Professor. I had a question. In yesterday's class, you said that craters on the moon are named for early astronomers, like Copernicus and Tycho Brahe, but aren't some named for astronauts?
Oh, I didn't mean all the craters on the moon, just those 2 that I was talking about yesterday.
Okay, that's why I was confused. So how do moon craters get their names? I mean, who decides what to name them? The person who discovered them?
There's an organization called the International Astronomical Union, or IAU, and they approve the terms we use, things like planet and minor planet, as well as the names for all bodies in the solar system, craters included. The convention today is that lunar craters are named after distinguished scientists, philosophers, artists. Before the IAU was founded, names were chosen randomly, and they were often conflicting.
What about in the rest of the solar system?
Well, the IAU establishes the naming conventions. There are rules for just about all astronomical features and objects. So, for example, the craters on Mars are, for the most part, named after cities. There's a Philadelphia crater on Mars.
And the moons of Saturn, they're all Greek gods, right?
Not exactly. Originally, they were named after gods in Greek and Roman mythology, and that system worked for a while. But the fact is, as telescopes have improved, we found so many moons orbiting Saturn, we had to find more ways to name them. So now, some are named after giants and monsters from other mythologies.
Number 35. Why does the student go to talk to the professor? Number 36. What function of the International Astronomical Union does the professor discuss? Number 37. Why does the professor mention a crater on Mars? Number 38. Why was the system for naming the moons of Saturn changed? This is the end of Part B. Go on to the next page. Now, read along as the directions for Part C are being read. Directions. In this part of the test, you will hear several short talks. After each talk, you will hear some questions. The talks and the questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear, listen to a professor talk to his class about a television program.
I'd like to tell you about an interesting TV program that'll be shown this coming Thursday. It'll be on from 9 to 10 p.m. on Channel 4. It's part of a series called Mysteries of Human Biology. The subject of the program is the human brain, how it functions and how it can malfunction. Topics that will be covered are dreams, memory, and depression. These topics are illustrated with outstanding computer animation that makes the explanations easy to follow. Make an effort to see this show. Since we've been studying the nervous system in class, I know you'll find it very helpful.
Now listen to a sample question. What is the main purpose of the program? In your test book you read, A. To demonstrate the latest use of computer graphics. B. To discuss the possibility of an economic depression. C. To explain the workings of the brain. D. To dramatize a famous mystery story. The best answer to the question, what is the main purpose of the program, is C. To explain the workings of the brain. Therefore, the correct choice is C. Now listen to another sample question. Why does the professor recommend watching the program? In your test book you read, A. It is required of all science majors. B. It will feature the professor's research. C. It can help viewers improve their memory skills. D. It will help with coursework. The best answer to the question, why does the professor recommend watching the program, is D. It will help with coursework. Therefore, the correct choice is D. Go on to the next page. Now, we will begin Part C with the first talk. Questions 39 through 41. Listen to part of a lecture in a modern art class.
Today, let's talk about how some modern artists incorporate architecture into their work. An architectural structure is an attractive form of expression for artists because it's accessible to everybody. People can easily relate to it. And even more important, people can interact with architectural structures. Let me give you an example. There's a work of art called Neighbors that's actually a structure that seems like part of a building. Visitors enter this work of art walking down what seems to be a corridor of an apartment building. They find the doors all locked, but at the end of the hall, they come to an elevator and push its button. When the elevator doors open, the elevator doesn't have a floor, just what appears to be a bottomless shaft. Actually, it's an illusion done with mirrors, but very frightening. This work reproduces something ordinary like a building, but the fun part for artists comes from challenging people's expectations, like the fake elevator. Another example of art that challenges our reality is an upside-down restaurant. And another structure has a rooftop that is indoors rather than on the outside. So the purpose here is that these artistic transformations of the ordinary make viewers question what they understand as real. For your assignment, I'd like you to visit the Contemporary Art Museum. They're having an exhibition where you'll get to see and experience a range of architectural pieces. You'll need to write up your impression of how the artists challenge our visual reality, and that's due in 2 weeks.
Number 39. What does the professor mainly discuss? Number 40. According to the professor, why is an architectural structure an attractive form of expression for artists? Number 41. According to the professor, what is the purpose of works of art such as Neighbors? Questions 42 through 46. Listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
When an animal species disappears from its usual habitat, the ecosystem can undergo major changes. Often, these changes are for the worse. So, sometimes biologists deliberately introduce the lost species back into the habitat in the hope of restoring the ecosystem. That's called rewilding. A good example of this is the gray wolf. This species was once common in Yellowstone National Park in the United States, but the wolves were removed from Yellowstone in the 1920s. The result was a disastrous increase in the populations of the animals that the wolves used to hunt. When biologists brought gray wolves back to Yellowstone, the ecosystem recovered. So this was a successful rewilding effort. There's also unintentional rewilding. This happens when biologists introduce an animal species into what they think is a new habitat without realizing that the species used to live there in the past. Take bighorn sheep. Bighorn sheep live in parts of Mexico and the United States. Biologists moved a small group of them to an island near Mexico in 1975 because they were endangered. The biologists had no idea that bighorn sheep had lived there before. Then an analysis of fossil remains showed that they did, about 1,500 years ago. Researchers studying patterns of tree rings on the island say that in the past there were long periods without rain there. So probably those sheep didn't have enough water. But the bighorn sheep currently living on the island are doing very well in their ancient habitat.
Number 42. What is the lecture mainly about? Number 43. What happened when gray wolves were removed from Yellowstone National Park? Number 44. What is the professor's opinion of the rewilding program at Yellowstone National Park? Number 45. What point does the professor make about the group of bighorn sheep she discusses? Number 46. How did researchers learn about the amount of rainfall on an island? Go on to the next page. Questions 47 through 50. Listen to part of a lecture in a United States history class.
Last week we talked about George Washington and his role as a military leader in the American War of Independence, and how, in that war, 13 British colonies in North America won their independence from Great Britain and then formed a new country, the United States of America. Okay, so after the war, Washington wanted to retire and go back and enjoy life on his farm. But many people wanted him to run in an election to choose the first president of the United States. He eventually gave in and ran. And in that first election, every representative from every participating state voted for him. To this day, he's the only president to have won the vote of every representative from every state that participated in a presidential election. Now, that first election was a little unusual in that there were a few states that didn't participate, but still, you can see how popular Washington was at that time. After the election, Washington traveled to New York City, which was the capital at the time. There, as required by law, he took the oath of office, in which he promised to uphold the laws of the United States. And with that, he became the first president. He then gave a speech. He wasn't required to do that, but in doing so, he set an example that newly elected presidents follow to this day. Washington planned to serve just one term as president, then retire to his farm. But he was again persuaded to postpone his retirement, and he ended up serving 2 terms.
Number 47. What aspect of George Washington's life is the lecture mainly about? Number 48. What did George Washington do that no other United States president has done? Number 49. What is every United States president required by law to do once elected? Number 50. From the lecture, what can be inferred about George Washington during his years as president? This is the end of Section 1, Listening Comprehension. Stop work on Section 1. This is a reminder. At the end of the test, the supervisor will collect all of the test books. You may not leave until all of the test books have been collected. End of recording.